Hi and welcome to today's session. Today's session is all about bootcamp modeling and effectively creating yourself a bootcamp from scratch. I'm going to take you through the steps that I take when I'm building any product for a fitness business. And I'm going to try and keep this video to around about 20 minutes, and I'm going to try and be as concise as I can. So if you've got any questions about anything that I go through today, then please either bang a comment in the comments box below, or alternatively just send me a message and I'll come back to you as soon as I can. But first, let me talk to you quickly about myself. My name is Carl Smith. I'm the head of product for a new company called Rise. We're a fitness franchise company, which I'll come on to in a little while. I'm also the business coach and product specialist at a company called Concept Fitness Consultancy. And what we do is we work with personal trainers, typically who are new to the industry, who are literally just qualified and looking for some confidence with their business skills. They want to build a product, but not quite sure of the ins and outs of everything. So we take you through a 6-week business boot camp, which takes you from effectively completing your qualification to having a product that is yours, that you are totally confident in being able to deliver to whichever market you choose to work with. For the last 9 years, I was the National Health and Fitness Manager for a company called Exercise for Less, and we took that company from 3 sites with 10 personal trainers to 52 sites with just short of 550 trainers. I was also responsible for our transformation camp product, which was effectively a large-scale boot camp, and I was responsible also for about 1,000 group exercise instructors. So look, that was a little bit about myself, but look, let's get into it. I think firstly, before we really start to work out the how, I think it's probably important to think, why. So you've come out of your qualification potentially as a one-to-one personal trainer. That's what your qualification trained you in. And you might well have done a CPD in boot camp. You might well have done a CPD in circuit training, but really you were brought into this industry potentially as a one-to-one trainer. So why would you want to consider running your own boot camp? Well, firstly, I think, look, it's about helping people. And if your prime interest in this role is to help people, then surely you want to help as many people as possible. So in a boot camp, you're gonna help more people. It also creates a really strong sense of community amongst your members, which really makes them sticky. And when I say sticky, what I'm talking about is retention. You want to keep your clients with you as long as possible, because that's how your business grows. So building a real strong community really helps keep your members engaged with you, your business, and your product. More people absolutely means more testimonials. It means more people are referring you. More happy members means more people talking about your business. Consequently, your business will grow much quicker with a large group of people than 1 or 2 people referring you and giving you testimonials. It's also a low barrier to entry. And what I mean by that is if you're charging, I don't know, 30 to 50 pounds a session for one-to-one PT, not everybody can afford that. If, however, your product over a particular time frame works out to around about £5 a session, then potentially it's something that people can afford. And we'll come on to that later in terms of how you want to price that, and whether you want to consider pricing it per session or as a product, which, as I say, I'll come on to shortly. It's also a way to differentiate yourself within the market. It's also a way to have you increase the amount of services that you offer. If bootcamp was the thing that you landed on, and it was the sole thing that you did, and you decided that was the model for you, and you weren't even going to go down the one-to-one route, then actually you would work a lot less hours. And interestingly, you'd also probably make more money. So that's the why. So if that's the why and that's got your interest, then this is the how. So firstly, in terms of the steps that I take, I start with your avatar, and I'll make more sense of that in a second. But the steps are: we build an avatar, we consider product as opposed to service, we build some structure, we look at lesson plans, we then look at equipment that we need, we look at tech, we look at pricing, we look at a sales system, we spend a lot of time thinking about how we're going to onboard people, and we consider these clients now as members, because that makes more, and it certainly will make more sense as I explain things along the way. So member retention is the phrase to consider. And then I'm going to come to an off-the-shelf product that will support you with all of this, called Rise Fitness Franchise. But before we get there, let's start with building your avatar. And I suppose the why around this, why is it important to consider who it is that you want to help before you start building anything out? Well, it makes a lot of sense actually to think about who you want to help first, because that individual, and that's where we're going with this, is what I'd like you to start to consider. If this is a process that you're going to follow because it's something that you want to build, then think about how and who this person is before we do anything else. So who this person is, and what they do for a living, and what they do for fun, and how old they are, and whether they've got children, whether they smoke, whether they drink, whether they go to the pub or they go cycling. All this kind of stuff will make your life so much easier when you start to consider the brand, the color scheme, and what your logo looks like, what message you need to put out there, and effectively what problems that this avatar has that your product can solve. I talk about this a lot in the bootcamp, that effectively a mobile phone is a problem-solving device, and that mobile phone typically can solve thousands of problems. That's why it's such a popular product. A Swiss Army knife, if you scale that back to when those things came out, they solved hundreds of problems. Hence, they're a really popular product. So the more problems your product can solve, the more popular your product will be. So start the process by thinking about who it is you want to help, and create an avatar, create a picture of this person, so much down to so much that you get to a stage where you give this person a name. So I call my avatar Mary. Mary is a middle-aged, I say middle-aged, she's 42 now. She's looked after her kids all her life. She's spent a lot of time at home. She was effectively spending all her time looking after her kids and not too much time thinking about herself. She typically would drink a glass of wine every night, which turned into pretty much the bottle, because who can open a bottle of wine and not finish the thing? So she got herself into a bit of a rut, and she's put on some weight, but now her kids have left home, and she's ready to focus on herself. So that understanding that about my avatar really helps me understand how to motivate her. As I said, what kind of color scheme is going to attract her to my business? Am I going to go down a real dark black logo with a dumbbell on it to attract this person? Probably not. Does it need to be a bit brighter in terms of its color scheme? Absolutely. Does it need to be a bit more soft in terms of your communication around that? Absolutely. So have a think about that before you do anything else, because that will then start to open your mind to where you want to take this. So once you've done that, what I then start to think about is am I selling a service or am I selling a product? And 100%, a boot camp is a product, and I try and remove any sort of thoughts around it being a service. And the real reason behind that is, if I sell a service, I'm back to selling time for money again. And I'm going to be in this situation where people say, how much is it? Per month, and then how many sessions do I get? And then I'm going to divide the two, and I'm back to, okay, well, that seems about right. It's about £5 a session. I want to move away from that because I'm going to build in a load of value within this product. So it's not so much about the sessions. It's more about what happens outside of the sessions. It's more about the value that's perceived with the community. It's about the value that's going to be perceived by potentially having your own app, adding some kind of nutritional layer to that, adding potentially a bespoke program to that. All this stuff has value, and hopefully, if you build it right, then you get to a stage where you actually have a product that you're selling to somebody that isn't seen as it's a bit expensive because it's £7 a session. So we want to move away from that. So as you start to build this out, and if you're adding loads of value to what you're doing, then that really does help. And hopefully that makes a little bit of sense at this stage. And then start to think about the structure. And at this stage, it's so important that I understand my avatar now, because when I start to think about how many sessions a week I want to offer and at what times, if I don't know who I'm wanting to take part in this product, then how do I know what are the best times for this person? Let's go back to how many sessions a week, because I think this is an important one. How many sessions a week can be a motivator, but it can also be a demotivator. The sweet spot seems to be around twice a week. And that's not me saying that I expect that I'm going to get results out of somebody from training twice a week. What I'm saying is that my bootcamp service will run for twice a week. And I'm going to either set other tasks outside of that, or certainly expectations outside of that for my members to take part in to achieve their goals. Then start to think about, what's your ethos? So if your ethos, like mine, is that I want my clients active every day, then how do you build that into your product? So it's a boot camp. We've agreed potentially that it's going to run twice a week at certain times, but outside of that, what am I expecting my members to do, and how am I going to facilitate that? How am I going to train that? How am I going to program that? How am I going to track that? And there are lots of different tools that you can use to help with all of that. And then are you going to wing it, or are you going to plan ahead? That countless times we sort of start to deliver these things and don't create any lesson plans, or create a lesson plan on the fly. And arguably that's not the best way to do it. If I was going to create a 12-week plan, I would create the lesson plans for the next 12 weeks. And then I would do it again and again. So I've got effectively three cycles of lesson plans. Because what I can do then is build in progression for those people that decide to do it again and decide to do it again. Because I want people to do it again. I want to retain 100% of my members. I don't expect to retain 100%, but I want to. And therefore, I'm going to plan that I do. The benefit of doing all that is well, there are loads of benefits. One of the key benefits is that you have a load of confidence going into your session that is already done. You already know what to do. You're not having to guess along the way. And importantly, when you're selling your boot camp, you can explain to people how they're going to feel. You can explain to people what's going to happen on week 7, week 8, week 9. You can explain to people what it's going to feel like on the third go round. And all that comes from spending some time up front and just mapping it out. And those effectively then start to create touch points along the way, because from that you'll be able to map out, is it every 6 weeks that they earn a badge, or they get some kind of reward for achieving the consistency. Yes, hopefully they're going to achieve some of their goals, but in reality, you want something else as well to keep them motivated. And that could be a T-shirt that they receive for completing the first go round. It could be, as I say, it could be badges. It could be certificates. Whatever it is, it's your product. But these are the things that I start to think about when I'm structuring out my product, because these are the things that are absolutely going to add value. And by having these things in place before I even start to consider selling it, then I've got a real strong offering when I do. Equipment and tech comes after. So I've built my lesson plan. I've built my process, and then I start to think about what equipment can I get away with? And what I mean by that is that if I'm starting out a product, I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to hope it's going to work, and we're going to go into things expecting that it's going to work and having the right attitude, etc. But there's no point spending thousands of pounds on equipment on a gamble, I suppose. So at this stage, I start to think about what's the least amount of equipment I can get away with that will create a great experience that I can potentially build on. Tech, I think about in exactly the same way. I consider tech as something that I think is essential in 2021. I think that nutrition tracking and progress tracking, heart rate monitoring, all these things add so much value to what you do. And I suppose the key consideration though is, will it help make the sale? Will it make you more money, or will it save you money? And if it doesn't make you more money and it doesn't save you money, then as cool as these things are, then they're offering you no value. So have a think about effectively what problems tech is going to solve for you and what additional experience it can help you deliver. And that's your frame of reference. So with regards to pricing doesn't need to be as complicated a process as it can be. I personally start with a monthly subscription. I work out what's my capacity, so how many people can I look after in my product. I then start to think about the amount of money that I want to make from this, and effectively divide the two. And then I'll settle on a number that feels about right for what I want to do. Just to give you some advice on that, though, I have trainers that have been looking after upwards of 70 people in one cohort. So a boot camp with 70 people. I know trainers also that don't want to deliver to more than 6 people at once. So your product is your product, but the more people you can look after, the lower price point you can charge to people. Therefore, you have a lower barrier to entry. So I suppose that those are the things that you want to sort of toss up. But the key thing here is that you want to get yourself into a position where you're charging a monthly membership and a monthly subscription. Hence why I consider my clients members, because they want them to be a member of a community, and a member of a community expects to pay a membership fee, and a membership fee can be charged on the first of the month. Therefore, you as a business owner get all your income on one day. You know who you need to chase, you know who you don't, and importantly, you know exactly how much income you're going to make in that month on day one. So we now have a product, we have a price, we have an avatar that we want to help. Now it's about selling it, and marketing now again reflects back to your avatar, and we start to think about media channels and where does that person spend most of their time? Where can we find them? Where can I put a post on a social media platform and it land right in my avatar's face? So are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn? What channels do they use? Well, again, this will always come down to who you're trying to help, and once you know that person, you'll know these answers. Do you need a system? You absolutely need a process, and sales is a process. And I would suggest that nowadays there's lots of systems that can help you automate a lot of the legwork, I suppose, in terms of generating leads. There's Facebook ads that can be to some degree automated, and that feeds into Instagram. You've got email systems that can again be automated to follow up with people once the interest has been generated, or constantly follow up with people so that you're not having to make countless phone calls. However, at the beginning, I would suggest you do a lot of this manually, so you work out what you really do need to support you. Marketing materials, do you need flyers? If you're going to go down the flyer route, who's going to hand them out? Is it better to put a little bit of money into a paid marketing channel? You've absolutely got to start to consider what is that ecosystem you're going to build, and what you really want is a bunch of different lead sources that if one doesn't work for whatever reason a particular time, then you've got another bunch of channels that are going to continue to give you the opportunity to consult with people, the opportunity to sell to them. And just a note on organic versus paid is that if you're just starting out, I would 100% exhaust every organic route that I had before I even considered putting any money into paid marketing. Because I think that with probably your own Facebook, your own Instagram, and your own reach so far, there'll be enough to give you a sense of what you're doing is right. And if it's not right, you've got a chance to start to shape it first for your current audience before you start to go down the paid route and find out that actually I paid a load of money and people still don't like my product. So that note on sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is a big piece of this, but it doesn't want to be a big piece of your life either, because this isn't what you got into this for. So a sales process is really important. Once you understand it, it's really about sort of automating as much of that as you can so that you're not having to spend your time here, because where you want to be spending your time is creating a great experience, delivering, as opposed to selling, I would guess. And as important as any of this, it's how am I going to create the best experience for my brand new member to get involved with my business, know everything they need to know to be successful. So, for example, if my ethos is that I want you to train or exercise every day, then how do I get that message to my brand new client so that they can start to do that as soon as they can? Without me having to pull them up for not doing it. If I want my client to track their nutrition, how do I make it as smooth an entry as possible for my client to understand how to use my app, to do what I'm asking them to do, so I can have that chance to review their nutrition, to give them feedback. So it could be as simple as an email, one simple email that you put together that details everything you expect, including, when you want to be paid, including your bank details, including, your expectations, including all your social media channels so that people know where to find you and where to join, to be part of that community. So onboarding is a really important piece, because the more efficiently somebody's onboarded into your product, then the longer they're going to stay, because effectively they're going to achieve their results. Because if you put your product together right, then hopefully it works. It's just getting your clients to understand that. And tell you what you don't want to be doing is having to spend 2, 3, 4 hours of your time trying to almost train this into somebody new and having to answer all the same questions repeatedly. So when I say automation in the subtext there, it's about thinking about how you can make this a streamlined process with either a bunch of templates that you can send. It could be consistent text messages that are almost bespoke as you go, but the bulk of the text message or the bulk of the WhatsApp message is already created, so you can literally send it, because you're going to get the same questions. And if you get your onboarding piece right, you don't get those questions, and actually what you get is a really happy, enthusiastic brand new member that does all the things that you want them to do. And that will absolutely help you with your member retention. So we've already talked about, why I'm using the term member as opposed to client, but thinking about member retention, it is absolutely the key to your business growth. If they are happy members for you because they get what they paid for at the right kind of price and they perceive the right kind of value, and importantly, you deliver a fantastic experience, then they're going to stay. And if they stay, they tend to refer their friends. And when they stay, you need less new people to join your product, so your business grows. And ultimately, that's how you scale your business. You start with an initial cohort that maybe had a discount on the product, so that you effectively trialed and you learned what you needed to learn about your product, so you could build it and refine it as you went. And once you got to a particular stage with it, your happy members started to refer more people, and suddenly you started to think, well, actually this cohort was full, now I need to add another one, now I need to add another one. And the way you effectively grow your bootcamp business is potentially every time you sort of fill one of these cohorts, you then start to think, well, how many cohorts can I manage myself before I then need to hire a coach, and then almost move into a head coach position, and suddenly your business is starting to scale up. So hopefully that starts to make a bit of sense. So look, hopefully you found some of that useful today. Before I go, I just want to quickly talk to you about Rise. Look, over the last 20 minutes, what you might have started to appreciate is that there is a lot that goes into building a product, from from pricing to the right digital partners, to the right software to make your life easier. So Rise might be something that you want to consider. Rise is a brand new outdoor fitness franchise that effectively is all the stuff that we've talked about for the last 20 minutes, all done for you. Look, if there's something that you are interested in, all you need to do is either pop an email to myself or message me. I'll drop a link in the comments box below to the website, so you can have a look around. And if that's something that's of interest, then give us a shout. But look, thank you for sticking around to the end. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. And if I can help in any way, give me a shout. That's what I do.